Hello people, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be covering a subject that I feel is very important and it's overlooked on just, I think it should be up there with the top reasons why men are avoiding women. Because realistically, see, from the start of the Me Too movement, men have been getting accused for years of falsely accused of SA and things to do with against women. I think we can all agree that obviously it does happen. Women do SA women, but I think we can also agree that a lot it's common that women lie about it. And I think that it's something that really should be on the top of the list as to why men are avoiding modern women as well. Not only is it their bad attitude, their lack of respect for men, their lack of modesty, their lack of class, their lack of self-respect, they've no traditional values, they are literally modern train wrecks of just complete and utter chaos and insanity because they have rejected the masculine frame completely. And that is why we're seeing women who are literally just feral. They're like feral animals, and I'm convinced that when women get to live outside of the masculine frame and have little to no consequences for their behaviour, they become like feral little demons, and they're dangerous. No, obviously it's not all women, but I think we can clearly agree that there's way too many women who are pretty feral, whether it be sexually or morally or both, or in all aspects of their personality. That it just seems to be there's a lot of women who on the surface level look cute and they look sweet, most women do, but when you get a bit deeper, there's some serious evil contained within these little women. These little tiny creatures, the level of evil and chaos that they can bring to a man's life is beyond imagination. So I think this is an example that any man in the modern day who has sense is also taking into account this, where women, if you scorn them, or if they've got an agenda, if they're trying to scam you, that they will use lies against you. And I think that's another reason why men are very cautious about women in modern times, because we can all see just how much that they can lie, and not only that they lie, that they get away with it for the most part. And that, I mean, like me as a man, that's something that I always have in consideration. Like, for example, if I'm out and I'm speaking to a chick or she comes up to me, I very rarely go up to a chick and approach them. It's just not my style. When I'm out, I'm just out having a good time vibing, and more often than not a chick ends up coming up to me. Sometimes they're advancing, sometimes it's just general conversation, but in the back of my head at all times I'm like, no matter what, do not go home with this chick. And it doesn't even seem to matter like how drunk I am. I am always so hyper aware of this because I know that women are dangerous when you don't know them. Because I've learned it with experience. When I was younger, I would just go with chicks that I didn't know. But now that I'm older and wiser, I'm like, right, well, the bottom line is the reality is, if I'm meeting a random chick in a bar or a club, I don't know her. I don't know how crazy she is. I don't know what her agendas are against men. I don't. So you can say, oh, you're looking too much into it. Yeah, okay. But what if you say that and then you go with a chick and she ends up accusing you of SA? You didn't know her, you didn't know how crazy she was, etc, etc, etc. So I think this is a big part of the reason as to why, another big part of the reason as to why men are just not keen on dealing with women. Like, I know now, personally, since the Me Too movement came about as well, that I don't even like being in the vicinity of a woman when it's just me and her. I feel uncomfortable because I don't know. You are putting your literal reputation in the hands of how that woman feels, if you can really trust that woman, or how crazy is she, how crazy isn't she, so let's watch this video, and it just kind of highlights that the dangers men live in, that it can just ruin their life by meeting the wrong woman. It's not only women who can be victims.
Former Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer is speaking out after settling a lawsuit with a woman who accused him of sexual assault. Bauer released this video today claiming that he has evidence his accuser set him up and was trying to take his money.
Trevor says everything was completely consensual. He also released these text messages that came out in court indicating that you had planned the whole thing out. So I want to read some of these texts from you to a friend between.
Just look at her face and how disconnected she is from any emotion, and she finds it actually funny because she's a little evil demon. She's so, I can see in her eyes that she is evil.
Between the two of you before you met Trevor, this one. Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. Okay. Victim. Next
victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. Okay, that is what she is saying to her friend. Or that this is the conversation that her and her friend are having before her plan. She followed through on her plan to accuse this, just basically set this guy up.
Is an interesting choice of words. I'm going to allow you a chance to explain yourself. But after you agreed to meet, you asked your friend what you should steal. Your friend answered his money. He says another one from you to a friend. I'm going to his.
Yeah, sounds like right, lovely young lady, doesn't she?
House Wednesday. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. With a screenshot in which you told him, tryouts don't scare me, Bauer. Pick a day and I am there. Here are some more after you and Trevor met up. Net worth is $51 million, to which your friend responds, bitch, you better secure that bag. Your text, need daddy to choke me out, being an absolute whore to try to get in on his $51 million. You say this wasn't a setup. How can you expect anyone to believe that?
Okay, so we got to talk about Trevor Bauer and the Me Too allegations that are totally false against him. And this woman is the new.
And yeah, remember the Amber Heard? That was another horrific case of just exposing how evil women are and how much they will lie and avoid accountability. And just literally, they're evil. These type of women are evil. I'm convinced of it. And this is what I'm saying. The biggest problem I think that really put a divide between men and women is feminism, the feminist movement, which is basically just hating men and trying to overpower men, which is insane. And then you've also got the Me Too movement, which I feel like kind of put the nail in the coffin, because it leaves no room for any real, fair, just living your life without having to worry. Because just look at the carnage. Just watch this video and just look at the carnage that these women can cause men if they're evil, and just on how they feel. Because these type of women have no morals and no remorse. They do not care how much they damage the man. And I think in most cases they are setting out to destroy men. I believe that these are extreme feminists who just hate men and just want to realistically destroy their life while taking money from them. That's my belief.
Amber Heard, it is insane. So first, let's talk about the allegations. This is how the media initially covered it.
In court documents obtained by TMZ and shared with us here at Fox 11, Trevor Bauer's accuser says when she met the 30-year-old pitcher at his home in Pasadena, she got much more than rough, consensual sex. In her almost 90-page declaration, the 27-year-old woman describes the 2 nights she spent with Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer. The first in April, the second in May. The court documents include images of the accuser's injuries, but Fox 11 is not showing the photos or using the name of the accuser at this time, in policy with not identifying potential victims of abuse. Bauer's attorney says these text messages released to Larry Brown Sports show the woman requested the rough encounters. In one text, she writes, "Never been more turned on in my life. Give me all the pain."
Yeah, that sounds like a victim, doesn't it?
The attorney confirming the authenticity of the text to Fox 11, but not speaking on camera Thursday. Neither is the Pasadena Police Department, which is investigating the allegations. So far, Bauer faces no charges. Meantime, Bauer is still on the Dodgers roster. Manager Dave Roberts fielding questions about his status today.
As of now, we're kind of in the middle of letting the commissioner's office, Major League Baseball, handle this. It's in their hands. So our plan is he is going to start on Sunday.
Asked whether Roberts has spoken with Bauer?
I have talked to Trevor.
Can you share anything about that conversation?
I can't. I don't choose to.
So after those allegations came out, remember, these are just allegations, the team suspended Bauer because some of his teammates were against his return to the team.
So his own teammates just decided, you know what, we're not going to play because he's been accused. So this is another problem that men face. Not only when women turn on them, they get these soft arse woke, I would just call them pussies, who always cater to women and don't actually understand a woman's real nature, and saying, right, wait, whoa, he's been accused of that, right, that is, we'll let the courts deal with it. Do you know what I mean? And that's the way you have to deal with it. You can't just, they decided that he was guilty and refused to play with him, and that literally derailed his career.
Under any circumstances. He was actually suspended for 2 years by Major League Baseball over just
2 years he got suspended. That is insane, for allegations that clearly you can see from the offset, the evidence was there that she was lying. So this is why men are very, very cautious with women.
Check it out.
Or if you're not, you should be.
Glenn and Lou, this is a landmark decision. It is the longest suspension of its kind, and it is a stunning move by the Major League Baseball commissioner in response to allegations of sexual assault and domestic violence. Some fans are now saying they believe this is far too harsh a punishment for a man they believe is not guilty. The firestorm swirling around Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer takes a shocking new turn, with Major League Baseball suspending the right-hander for 2 full seasons without pay, effective immediately. According to reports, the suspension does not include the 99 regular season games Bauer has missed since being placed on administrative leave on July 2nd, 20.
So already can you hear the devastation that this has caused this man, because this evil little creature put a plan against him. She set out to do this.
2021. MLB announced this decision following an investigation into domestic violence and sexual assault allegations made against the pitcher. The Dodgers say the organization takes all allegations of this nature very seriously and does not condone or excuse any acts of domestic or sexual violence.
So his accuser, her name is Lindsay Hill. She actually then tried to get a permanent restraining order against Bauer and went to court, and they had a whole hearing about it.
Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer came face-to-face with his accuser in a downtown LA courtroom yesterday. She is trying to get a temporary restraining order against him extended for 5 years. Now, her attorney told the judge what began as consensual sex turned violent. Bauer's accuser also testified, saying that she had wanted to date him since seeing him in a spring training. In his defense, Bauer's attorney quoted text messages that she says shows the woman didn't complain about the encounter and appeared to be looking forward to seeing him again. Bauer signed a 3-year deal with the Dodgers in February and is currently on administrative leave.
So now, a female judge heard all the facts presented by both sides and dismissed the protective order. She said, we're not going to grant a restraining order. And this was because the woman had asked Bauer to do these things to her. So after the first encounter, she said, hey, I want you to do the same thing even more dramatically, even rougher. Now, obviously, this was to set him up, to make it seem like she was abused.
Do you see just how evil women can be? You need to be very cautious. This is reality. This is not that you can't just look at a woman and go by how she acts. Like, if all women put on an act, but can you just see how evil women can be? It really is really horrific.
And this was in conflict with her previous testimony that she never asked for this type of stuff. The judge saw right through the sham. This is exactly what happened.
What he produced was text messages showing, forgive me, this isn't a nice way of putting it, but it's literally true, that she asked for it, that she wanted rough sex with him. They had 2 sexual encounters, and that she literally was asking for him to beat her up, to choke her out, to slap her, to punch her. And that is why she was denied the original restraining order, the permanent restraining order. Let me read to you what the judge said when denying the permanent restraining order. The judge said, Ms. Hill's injuries as photographed are terrible. And under most circumstances, merely seeing photographs such as these would serve as a per se condemnation of the perpetrator of such injuries. But the judge went on to say that she believed Hill, quote, had objectively voiced consent to specific acts of rough sex, and the injuries she suffered could be viewed as a natural consequences of the acts to which she consented. Petitioner had and has the right to engage in any kind of sex as a consenting adult that she wants with another consenting adult. She was not ambiguous about wanting rough sex in the party's first encounter and wanting rougher sex in the second encounter, the judge ruled, adding that Mr. Bauer did not pursue the woman or threaten to coerce her into sexual activity. And before I give you the floor, I'm just going to read for the audience those texts, okay, that the judge was looking at that did not make their way around all the publications that condemned Trevor Bauer like that when they saw the pictures of the injuries. Here's number 1. He writes, we only have segments, but he writes to her, yes, ma'am, whatever you want. She writes, butt off when it's time to choke me out. Thanks, you're the best. He writes, you want to go out, huh? She writes, see, that was a game changer. This is clearly after the first interlude. He writes, tell me more. She responds, never been more turned on in my life. Give me all the pain. Roar. Then on page 2, she writes, now that I know what it feels like to wake up from it, though it'll probably feel just as good to wake up from that. She's talking about getting choked out. He writes, God, you just turned me on so much. She writes, mission accomplished then. He writes, now I just want my arm around your neck from behind. She responds, do it harder. And they keep going like this. I mean, I could go on.
Now, after an investigation, some interesting details came out. See, it seems Lindsey Hill had been planning to set up some rich baseball player for all his money for a while. With that said, the DA's office and the police refused to charge Bauer with anything.
Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer will not face criminal charges over allegations of sexual assault.
Attorney's office
According to the LA County District Attorney's Office, there was insufficient evidence to prove charges beyond a reasonable doubt. The 27-year-old woman accused Bauer of violently assaulting her during their sexual encounters in Pasadena last year. Bauer has denied any wrongdoing, saying the rough sexual encounters between the pair were consensual.
They also believed he was being set up. Now, one of the craziest facts is that some text messages came out during a civil lawsuit where discovery happens. And these text messages show that Lindsey clearly was trying to set Bauer up for his money. Now, you're going to hear those text messages and you're going to hear her responses to those text messages because she wants you to believe that this actually happened to her. And she knows now that these text messages expose her for the fraud she is. So, as always, you be the judge. Listen to what the text messages say and listen to how she tries to explain it. Let's go to clip 1.
He also released these text messages that came out in court indicating that you had planned the whole thing out. So I want to read some of these texts from you to a friend between the two of you before you met Trevor, this one. Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. Okay. Victim is an interesting choice of words. I'm going to allow you a chance to explain yourself. But after you agreed to meet, you asked your friend what you should steal. Your friend answered his money. He says, another one from you to a friend, I'm going to his house Wednesday. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. With a screenshot in which you told him, tryouts don't scare me, Bauer. Pick a day and I am there. Here's some more after you and Trevor met up. Net worth is $51 million, to which your friend responds, bitch, you better secure that bag. Your text, need daddy to choke me out, being an absolute whore to try to get in on his $51 million. You say this wasn't a setup. How can you expect anyone to believe that?
That's a great question. I really appreciate you having me on to even have this conversation. Obviously, there's a lot going on around this, so I really appreciate people who are asking questions about it. The first thing I want to say is, I think that Trevor did this intentionally with the text messages and how he framed this video. There's several things in it that are not correct. And I just want to start out by saying, you know, it's so valid for people to question those text messages. But the root of the problem here is that he is presenting this as one conversation, when in reality he had thousands of messages to choose from, took those, made it look sequential, which it was not. There is no combined screenshot of those things going on one after the other.
But you still said those heinous things, and it's clear you had a mindset to clear him up. Do you see how women will just lie and lie and lie? This is evil at its very core.
And as I said last night as well, there's no text message that ever exists. Otherwise, he would have, you know, put it out there, combining, you know, anything about a setup through rough sex, finances, all in one. Those were handpicked, and they were from multiple different conversations, all before we met up. And I think that the video in general doesn't even talk about what actually happened between us two, which is what would have come out during a jury trial. You know, these were all messages that happened before. And
there is messages of her saying she wants him to be rougher than he already was, and then she's saying he beat her up. Like, there's no lying. In a logical world, you can't lie your way out of that. You know, that's the reality.
And then, of course, the video is so valid as well for people to ask questions about.
And then on top of that, she's saying she's wanting that he's going to be her next victim. And you've seen the text. There's no denying it.
But I do think that that video was entirely misleading. He also references the restraining order hearing, which people also have questions about. He says that he was cleared of any wrongdoing, which is actually incorrect. In our civil case, the judge had actually ruled that he had not been cleared of any wrongdoing, and that was a federal court judge.
Now, if that wasn't enough, right, there's another damning piece of evidence. See, after their first encounter, Lindsay was so happy, she actually recorded herself in bed.
And that's the crazy thing. The only evidence that there actually is that proves that she's set him up and she's the one that's lying.
Next to Bauer. But remember, she had told police and prosecutors that she was beaten up by Bauer during the encounter. But she forgot she had taken this video right after they had their encounter the next morning. And in that video, there was no bruises. She looks fine. Here she is being confronted with that video that shows she was 100% totally fine with no bruising. And listen to her response to that evidence.
Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsay Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us.
Lindsay, I think there are a lot of sexual assault survivors who would say you don't look traumatized there and you don't look beaten. And this is allegedly after you say that he brutally attacked you and you had bruises all over your body. You had bruises all over your face. I don't see.
So it's evident she's lying. It is so clear she's lying. But she will keep lying and lying and lying because that's all that women like this know. They live in a world of lies and delusion.
See any bruises there, and I certainly don't see a woman who's just been traumatized by something horrible.
Again, super valid. I think that I woke up that morning, and the best way to explain that video is I hadn't seen my entire body yet. I had no idea what had happened, considering, you know, I was unconscious for most of it. I had no idea what had happened to my full body.
But if it was that severe, wouldn't you already feel pain? Wouldn't you already have bruises on your face? I mean, you say that he punched you in the face, but where are the bruises?
Yeah, so that's something that has not, you know, been publicly released or he won't talk about. But over and over again in this process, we have handed him pictures that were taken between 20 and 30 minutes right after that video was taken of the bruising starting to develop, of the scratching, and it has been time.
Oh, so the bruises just developed like in the morning, half an hour after this video. So it had been hours, but just after that video was taken, that was when the bruises appeared. And she woke up and never knew that she'd been beat up. I mean, are you listening to the lies? She's trying to say that she woke up and never knew that she'd been beat up, and then realised after she took that video that she'd been beat up, and that was when after she took the video, that was when the bruises started to appear. This is insane.
And time again verified through metadata. It was a matter of being in the correct lighting, the spacing to take the right thing. And another difference is, iPhone camera versus a Snapchat recording that. So there is solid bulletproof evidence of those bruising marks, scratches, things that were provided to their team from day one.
So it was bad lighting? That's why we don't see the bruises on her face?
Yeah, bad lighting. She's really badly beaten. She looks really badly beaten there, and she looks really traumatized, panicked. I mean, come on.
That's why you have a Major League Baseball player punching you in the face. You have no bruises, right? That's what she...
Meanwhile, she asked for this. She wanted this. She wanted rough sex. She was saying she wanted to be hit, choked out. I mean, come on.
Now, another crazy part of this is that it shows you how sometimes lawyers can be scumbags. Her lawyers then withheld evidence, and she deleted text messages that she had between her and her friends, likely planning out the scam.
I want to move on here. So Trevor mentioned in his clip that you withheld evidence, more evidence, and later posted on Twitter after being asked if your lawyers were aware that you withheld evidence. He said, "It appears her lawyers had the evidence the entire time." Speaking specifically about the video of her laying in bed next to me with no marks on her face the morning after she claims I brutally attacked her, an email containing that video was sent to her attorney before the domestic violence restraining order hearing in 2021, and it was never turned over to us. Perhaps that's why he insisted on adding his name to the released parties section in the settlement agreement. There was also a 12-day span of texts between Lindsay and two of her closest friends immediately following the incident that were deleted. We asked for them in discovery for the restraining order hearing, and they were not turned over. Why did your lawyers withhold what seems to be very exculpatory evidence for Trevor?
You know what? That's something my lawyers would have to answer, and that's his issue with them. Like I said, there was an email. I provided absolutely everything I had. And a key fact about this that no one does know about is that that video was actually the first thing that I handed over to Pasadena police, and it's on body cam footage. So I did everything to hand over all of that stuff. It was my first time in a legal proceeding, and I did what I was told when I was told to do it.
So now, with all of that, Trevor said, okay, listen, we're just going to settle this and get the hell out of here, right? Because essentially he was blacklisted from the MLB. Now, understand how bad this was for him. He was named one of the top pitchers in baseball. He even won the Cy Young Award, which is baseball's highest award for that year to any pitcher. And he had won that the year before. No baseball team would re-sign a Cy Young winner just 2 years ago. So you know what he had to do? He had to go play overseas in Japan. So he had to settle this case so he can move on with his life and start playing baseball again, even though it would happen to be overseas. So in the settlement, he didn't pay her a dime, he did nothing, and he still said he was going to tell everybody the truth about what happened. But he was going to move on with his life. But somehow, some way, she got an insurance company to pay her $300,000. She was even confronted with that.
So my last question, as part of the settlement, you disclosed that you received $300,000 from an insurance company. How did you con an insurance company into paying you any money? And does that money just go to your lawyers, or does any of it go to you?
Yeah, I wish I could speak more into that, but I am prohibited from talking about that part. So I wish I could go more into detail, but I don't believe I would agree with you on the word con at all. So,
okay.
So I'll go into that more.
Yeah, I mean, Lindsay,
It's just, this is what I'm saying, it's just not believable. But this is how easy it's been made for women to lie and just completely ruin men's lives. She's still being allowed to sit there, got 300k somehow out of a situation where she's clearly been setting a guy up, but she's still managed to get money out of the situation and ruin the guy's career. But the evidence is there to say, right, this chick is definitely not legitimately a victim. You know, it's insane.
I don't like it when men are falsely accused of doing things, and they have their livelihoods taken from them, and it's done by someone who is, speaking out of both sides of their mouth, saying well, I wish that this had gone to court because if it did, boy, let me tell you all the evidence that you could be seeing, but now you can't, and also then settled the case. I don't find that to be credible. I will leave you with this. I want you to learn your lesson on pursuing public figures, and I would ask that you stop sliding into my friend Alex Stein's DMs.
So just to be clear, this was all a setup. She planned to get this guy's money and executed that plan.
This is a gold-digging demon who will ruin any man's life in any way. And I think these type of chicks actually get pleasure out of not only getting money out the man and scamming him, but actually ruining his life. That's what it seems like to me, because these women have to be on a certain level of evil to be able to move this way. You have to agree.
She should be charged and sent to prison as an example to other fraudsters out there. This is why victims are not believed. This woman is the reason why. This is how she looked the morning after, and she says she was brutally beaten by this man, and she has not a mark on her face. She took that.
So this was apparently the morning after he brutally beat her. Not a mark on her face in this video. She's sitting smirking, but she said that it was because she didn't realise that he'd beat her up yet. And the bruises didn't appear until just after she took that video. Wow.
Video. Now, let me know in the comments, where the hell am I wrong? Because this story is insane. This woman is pure evil. This woman is Amber Heard. The police, the DA, they all
Amber Turda.
agreed this was not serious and didn't press any charges against Bauer because she was obviously lying. Now, does this make you mad? Does this make you upset? Because it does.
Why is that woman not in prison? I mean, she's literally, everything that I've seen that she's done, you could easily put her in prison for that. That is fraud and so many other charges you could put on her with that. But no, because of the Me Too movement, feminism, and the fact that women say that they're fighting for rights. Well, how come women have got the rights to do this to men and nothing happens to them and they always come out better off? How?
To me, women like this should face the same penalties as their accusers. This story only incentivizes women like this to continue to lie, to continue to do these types of things. She got $300,000 from an insurance company for what? For setting up a Major League Baseball player and destroying his career to force him to go play in Japan after winning the Cy Young Award? Me Too has gone insane, people. This is craziness. Now listen, I'm just going to keep it 100% real. This woman should be going to prison, but the reason why she's not in prison is because she's a woman and because in the woke California, they don't want to hold liars accountable for destroying men's careers. If she does it, it's fine, because the whole thing is we want other victims to come forward, even though we know this woman is lying and destroying a man's life, and she did destroy his life. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe if you want to see.
So let's have a look at some comments just to get a general idea to see what people think. So, she's a fraud and needs to be in prison. The fact we don't lock women like her up shows how tilted the law is. See? Yep. It's not. Everybody else is seeing it. Anybody with sense can see it from my point of view and the guy, Nate the lawyer's point of view. The woman has nothing to lose. If she's successful, she gets rich. If she's found out, there's no repercussions. So this is why I'm saying, I think this is another reason why men are not so keen to approach women. And I think women like this will also ruin it for the women who want the men who are 6 foot plus, who make six figures, who have got the jets, the Lambos, the yachts and all the money in the mansions. These guys are going to be looking at cases like this, if they've got any sense, and saying, yep, I need to just watch how I move and not sleep about with every chick. So I think you'll find as time goes on and, men become more aware of the true nature of what we're living in with women, that women will end up really lonely. In general, like, they will collectively end up really lonely. She should be criminally charged and liable for damages. How does this woman not end up in jail? You can literally go to jail for filling a false police report. It's insane. So that's why men are like, yeah, the juice is just not worth the squeeze. What if I find all this frightening? What I find all this frightening is that they will let the woman off the hook after all that drama. Meanwhile, the man's life and livelihood is destroyed. This is the insanity. And still to this day, people wonder why men are walking away from dating, marriage, and even socialising together. That's the reality. Because men can see the evidence of what women are capable of. And that's why I said to you, I am not comfortable being one-on-one with a woman that I don't know when it's just me and her. I try and avoid those situations because of I know how much feminists hate men. And then also the Me Too movement. And that if a woman just decides, for whatever reason, that she wants to accuse you, she can. And 9 times out of 10, it'll go in her favour, and your life will never be the same. That is the reality of what men have to live in. So all in all, when you look at the big picture of what do women present to men today, it is nothing but utter chaos and insanity, and just downright evil. There should be a law protecting victims of these women. That's what I'm saying. Where's this guy's repercussions? Where's this guy? This guy is a victim. Where is his victim treatment? No, he's a guy. He doesn't get treated like a victim. That's how crazy the world is. If you're a man, you're not a victim. Doesn't matter if the chick's the one that's tried to set you up. You're still not a victim. You're a man. Just man up. You know, deal with your life being ruined. Deal with everybody thinking that you're an R word. You know. Bauer should sue it. So everybody's just like, what is going on here? We need to start holding these women accountable. The interviewer deserves a ton of respect for calling her out on her BS. She's absolutely evil and dangerous. This woman belongs behind bars. As a woman, I'm so disgusted with these women who think they can get away with these scams. Women who make proven false allegations need to start going to jail. They are the reason real victims have so much trouble proving their case. This infuriates me. As a woman, believe all women is absolute garbage. Wait there. This infuriates me. As a woman, believe all women. Oh, right. So it's like, oh, she's a woman, you've got to believe her. Yep. The fact that she's still denying it is just further solidifies the fact she belongs in prison. That's what I'm saying, because she can get away with it. She's told lie after lie after lie after lie, and she ends up walking away with $300,000. Free. Absolute insane. And you can go on and on and on and on. I mean, this is women have single-handedly, in my opinion, ruined any traditional norms between men and women and any trust. It's like, me as a man sitting here right now, I can't trust any woman. And I've seen videos where men are literally making titles, I cannot trust any woman. And I know, me personally speaking, and I don't know about you, but me personally, I know that fundamentally, no matter how much fun I have with a chick, if I do have it, or how much I like a chick, that the fundamental bottom line is, I will never be able to trust any woman at all, under any circumstances, because of all of the evidence on their nature that we can see on the internet. So I hope that gave you a good insight. If you're wondering why are men not approaching us, if you're a woman and watching this, this is why. And men, if you're watching this, take note, tread carefully, don't just go with any old chick, and think before you act, because one wrong move, you get with the wrong chick, your life's over. You know, that's what I'm saying. You need to make sure that you know a chick on a certain level before you get with her. That's my advice. So be very careful out there, guys. Very careful. It's a dangerous world with these kind of demons. So until the next time, take it easy and peace.